the Fighting Alumni. They win the first annual basketball tournament.
Each game gets harder and harder. You know, the stakes keep rising.
Everybody loves money. You know, I don't know not one person who doesn't love money.
Yeah, Jacob Poland going one-on-one. He's cut off. Uh-oh, he's got space.
Let the games begin.
Oh my, did you see that move by John Elmore? Keene and sideline cancer still alive. Keene for the win. Oh!
Let the games begin.
They're moving on.
Wow. If that doesn't get you excited for TBT, I do not know what will. Welcome to the TBT 2023 Bracket Reveal Show. This is the 10th anniversary of TBT and the biggest year yet. We've had over 100 applicants that will dwindle down to a field of 64. We're heading to 7 regionals, and for the first time in TBT history, 4 of those regionals will host a quarterfinal matchup, with the semifinals and championship being in Philadelphia. That's a little extra special because the first TBT was held in Philadelphia. So for the 10th anniversary, they're heading back to where it all began. I'm Andrew Zoldan, the host of Inside TBT, here with the great Seth Greenberg. Coach, we're back for another year. How are we feeling?
Is this a punishment? I got to do this with you? You're not Andrew Zoldan. You are Dr. Z. You're the doctor of the TBT. I mean, don't undersell yourself. 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, you live TBT. That's just the way it is. But no, how things are going? Let me tell you something. It's any better, I couldn't stand it because to me, the TBT is pure hoop. It's like you win, you stay on the court. You lose, you go home. That's just the way it is. No marshmallows need apply. We understand that, right? Like, I don't care what your pedigree is. I don't care where you came from. I don't care if you're an All-American. I don't care if you played in the NBA. Right, the TBT is about getting done between the lines in that moment. Now, the unique thing about the TBT to me is we got alumni teams, and alumni teams are great. A chance to put that jersey on one more time. We've even seen a bunch of guys that are alumni from another school because you know what? A guy like, Mark Lyons transferred to Arizona, but he's playing with Zip 'em Up. You got Fats Russell. All right, he transferred to Maryland. He's playing with the Rhode Island team. And then you got the teams with a cause, which is so important. Using basketball and the TBT as a vehicle to bring attention, to make a difference in other people's lives. So to me, it's pure hoop. In the month of July, winner takes all. You know what? If you're a marshmallow, stay home.
Coach, you're an absolute pro. You just nailed everything and anything that is TBT. Let's jump right to it, though. This is what TBT 2023 is looking like. It's going to run this year from July 19th to August 3rd. 8 locations, 64 teams. And you mentioned, just like every year, $1 million winner take all, the home of the Elam ending. Where are we going this year? We're going to Lubbock for the first time in TBT history. Again, another first time in TBT history. We're having a super regional in Wichita. More on that later. We're heading back to Xavier for the second year in a row. Of course, we had to go back to Syracuse one more time. Louisville will be making their TBT debut and hosting all in the same year. West Virginia this year in Wheeling. And it wouldn't be TBT without a visit to Dayton. And it'll all finish in Philadelphia, August 2nd and 3rd. All games will be on the ESPN family of networks. And, Coach, you and I will get to be there for free. But if you want to get tickets, head over to thetournament.com/tickets. That's the only way you can get tickets.
And I'll tell you what, the tickets are going, whether it's in Lubbock, whether it's in Wichita. I mean, all around the country. Look, TBT is kind of like a movement. It's like I always say, it's like a big family. One thing, the games are fiercely competitive, but people look after each other. And, game's over. There's tremendous respect across the board. Great sights and a uniqueness. How about 2 weeks in Wichita? How many doodad omelets can you eat if you're 2 weeks in Wichita? But the Roundhouse will be rocking and kind of 2 different, really interesting brackets within a bracket with the 2 weeks in Wichita.
Absolutely. And we're going to jump into it now. We're going to start with the week 1 teams. We'll run through that. As you can see here, like we mentioned, we are heading back to Wichita for a super regional. One of the number 1 seeds there is, of course, the host, the Aftershocks, the Wichita State alumni. The other number 1 seed on the other side of the bracket is Mass Street, the Kansas alumni team. They're back in TBT. We're making our debut trip to Lubbock, where the Air Raiders will be the number 1 seed, the Texas Tech alumni. And then in Xavier, the program for autism, formerly Americana for Autism, they were the runners-up last year. They will be the 1 seed in Xavier. But zip them up, the Xavier alumni, not far behind them as the 2 seed. We're going to go into each regional more specifically, but right off the top of it, what stands out to you for the week 1 teams?
You know, the week 1 teams, first of all, going to Wichita twice, having a Kansas team and a Wichita State team. But don't shortchange that Kansas State team. We're going to talk about them a little later. But guard play, experience, toughness, and they're going to have a little bit of a home court too. I mean, like, it's not like they're an outsider, but, you know, I look at, obviously, this Kansas team, I think, has really got a chance to be good because you got youth and experience. You got to have maturity in TBT, but you also got to have some youth. You know, having a guy like Marcus Garrett, having a guy like Dedrick Lawson, those guys are big-time players. And then the trip to Lubbock, to me, the trip to Lubbock, we did College Game Day in Lubbock. It was an event. It was an absolute event. Those people love their hoop. And we're bringing their team that was buckets away from, plays away from winning a national championship. All right, obviously they're going to be a focal point of what's going on in Lubbock. But, you know, there's that team up the road in Austin. It's not like they're rolling into Lubbock to lose. So, I mean, every single bracket has really competitive and really interesting matchups. So that's what the TBT is all about. Create these great matchups. Let those dudes go out and play hard.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Can't wait to break down those brackets individually. But let's take a look at the week 2 teams. If there was an overall number 1 seed, it would be Blue Collar U. The defending champs, they've only lost 1 game in TBT, and they didn't even have their full roster. They're the 1 seed in Syracuse, the 2 seed, the hosts, Boeheim's Army. And then we head to Louisville for your team, Gutter Cats, the Gutter Cat gang as the
gang. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
The 2 seed, the Louisville alumni making their debut. And then in West Virginia this year, Wheeling, West Virginia, Best Virginia, the number 1 seed again, the West Virginia alumni. And after a semifinal run last year for Red Scare, the Dayton alumni have earned the number 1 seed again. Some big-time teams over there that we'll break down. A loaded week 2. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. Syracuse's bracket is absolutely loaded. Syracuse is a little bit, they're a hybrid now. All right, they're a little bit of a hybrid because they've got obviously the core value of Syracuse basketball. But when they bring in Dwayne Bikes, when they bring in Jamil Wilson, those guys have championship pedigree. I mean, they got championship pedigree, and then they get Tyus Battle. So that's going to be interesting. But that bracket is deep. That bracket is talented. And the last time I checked, there's a team from upstate New York that's pretty good, and they're looking to repeat. So to me, I'm really intrigued by that. Obviously, I don't shortchange. We'll get into it later, but we're going to Dayton, but don't shortchange those dudes in Columbus. They have loaded up, absolutely loaded up, which is going to be really interesting. And then, like, we talk about in West Virginia, my sleeper team, the Zoo Crew. The Zoo Crew is no joke. A little old, a little new. They got those 3 guys that just went to the NCAA tournament. Good legs. They got Gilbert Brown. They've got McGee. So, look, every single region, we're going to have great matchups. We're going to have great games. And you know what? Those 4 or 5 games, just like the NCAA tournament, the 8-9 game, those 4 or 5 games are going to be absolute battles.
I can't wait. We're going to now go through the individual brackets, but all those games, like you mentioned, the game times will be announced later today. Make sure you head over to @the_tournament on social to see the complete schedule of games and times. But let's start off with the Wichita Super Regional. And in the first of 2 regionals over in Wichita, it's the Aftershocks as the number 1 seed, Wichita State alumni hosting again. They'll face off against the B1 Ballers, who are in TBT for the 2nd straight year. Their coach, Jerry Costello, he does something that you've probably never seen before. He wears a hat on the sidelines. So that's a team you want to pay attention to. The 4-5 matchup here, the Beale Street Boys, Memphis alumni, a new version of the Memphis alumni team. They'll face the Broad Street Birds.
Ooh, don't be messing with those Broad Street Birds. I'm telling you, that's one of my sleepers. That team is, you got a little shiz. You got a little You Quentin Rose, you got a little Thompson. That team is good.
I love it. And it's a little rivalry battle there in the 4-5 matchup. The 3-6, we've got Team Arkansas, the Arkansas alumni. They'll face Ram Up, Colorado State alumni. And then you mentioned earlier the 2-seed, Purple and Black, K-State alumni. They'll face the Guys STL, who are a popular YouTube basketball brand. You mentioned the 4-5 matchup, Coach, but what else really jumps out to you here?
Well, I first of all, I think the sleeper team is the Broad Street team. I really do. I think that they've got a good makeup. Look, they got a guy who was drafted in the first round, and he plays hard. You know, Quentin Rose can really score it. Obviously, Shiz is another guy who can get in lane and make plays. I think they're interesting. I think Purple and Black is really interesting to me. I think they're really interesting because when you have a guy like Foster, when you have a guy like Bowen, you've got two physical, strong, tough guards that can really guard the ball, make plays, get in the lane. Is it Henry or Billy Walker? I'm not sure which one. I knew him as Billy Walker, who played for the Knicks, but really athletic front court. They've got legitimate depth. And, I don't think you can underestimate, there's great pride in the state of Kansas. So, look, the Roundhouse is going to be rocking. Connor Frankep, McDuffie, obviously terrific team. And they play hard. They're really, really well coached. But, look, I expect the Purple Black to show up. I expect, obviously, when Kansas starts to play, they to show up. But you've got other teams like Team Arkansas losing Jalen Barford. That's an issue. That's an issue. You don't replace him. Is Sonny Weems playing? That's the question for you, Dr. Z. Is he hooping, or is he just going to look cooler than the other side of a pillow watching the games like he was last year?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been, little Woj update for you. I've been communicating with Sonny Weems, trying to get him on the Inside TBT podcast. And I'll tell you this, he's not playing he's not skipping TBT if he's coming on Dr. Z's show. So all things are telling me that he's going to play.
Oh.
But I agree with you. This is a team that they're a 3-seed, maybe because of what they've done in the past. And we'll see if it reflects on their future. But losing Barford, you and I both know that is just a massive loss.
How about my man Barford going to my boy, the Dogs, the Underdogs? My man Samson, bigger than he takes on Goliath every single day. He's the best. So, look, that is a very, very good bracket. I think that the 4-5 game will be a terrific game. Aftershocks, obviously, they play with such good energy. They've got good depth. And Darryl Willis gives them a really active front court guy that can score, get to the line. So, that'll be really interesting. Connor Frankkamp, he brings it every time. And, at the end of the game, he's going to make a big shot.
Absolutely. Well, there is a second regional here in Wichita for the Super Regional, and let's check it out right now. The 1-seed Mass Street, the Kansas alumni, we've both alluded to them already. They'll face We Are D3, who really got blown out last year in Wichita, but they have a chance to win their first game here in Wichita. And the 4-5 matchup, two alumni teams making their TBT debut, Show Me Squad, the Mizzou alumni, MIZ, will face the Vegas Rebellion UNLV alumni. And then in the 3-6 matchup, it's the LA Cheaters, who have become a TBT staple, hailing from the Drew League. They'll face Living the Dream, who are playing for Pat Welsh, and a portion of their winnings, potential winnings, I should say, would be donated to cancer research. And then the 2-7 matchup, Heartfire, who's another team that's made a name for themselves in TBT, they'll face the 7-seed JUCO Products, which, Coach, I know you're a smart guy, but just in case you aren't aware, JUCO Products is former guys who played JUCO basketball. Obviously, the Mizzou team, I went to Mizzou. That's jumping out to me right away.
Well, first of all, right, you're the Mizzou insider. At least you're an insider on something. So you're the Mizzou insider. You got Smith, you got Porter, you've got guys. Are we legit or not? I thought that you'd be the team sponsor, the coach, the general manager. What's going on with this team?
Well, here's the two things that I think the Mizzou team needs. The first one is they need to not overlook that first-round matchup where they'd potentially play Kansas in the second round, because that's something that Mizzou cares about, but I've been told Kansas doesn't care about that. But I do think Phil Pressey, who, it's rumored and looks like it's officially got a job with the Celtics today, imagine if he was playing. I think that's really what they need. Geist is a dog. Jonte Porter's great in the G League, but year one, they just may not have enough to get it done. But I'm personally hoping this is a team that
Are you going to be at this region?
I'm going to be in this region. I might sneak into the Mizzou locker room.
I was going to say, you can like give a pregame talk or what?
I might have to hype him up, but beyond Mizzou.
All right, let's go. Like living the dream to me is a great story because you got two guys played at UCLA. Obviously, you got my man Joey Calcaterra, who won national championship at UConn. But you got two guys that are playing literally to honor their dad, the Welsh brothers. So I mean, I think that's that to me, that moves me. You've got Team Heartfire, my man LaFonso Ellis. He has got a good team. I mean, he's got a really good team. He's got a mature team. He got John Gillen, who played at one time Colorado State, obviously Syracuse, big-time shooter. He's got Marcus Hall, another big-time shot maker. He's got Putney. He's got Tevin Mack. He's got a nice guy, Craig Sword, who's a winning player in TBT. My big thing for Team Hotfire is can LaFonso Ellis get through the TBT without getting thrown out? I mean, like my man Fonz, can he get through the TBT without getting? Can he make it through the TBT? That's the big question, but we'll see that. But I think Hotfire is going to be good. They're really well coached. LaFonso does a great job. Interested to see what happens with the Vegas Rebellion. Obviously, a new team kind of getting their feet wet. Justin's a nice player. Seeger's a nice player. But that Kansas alumni team, I expect them to play at a high level. And LA Cheaters, you just never know. You never know who's going to show up, but they're, again, another very competitive team.
Absolutely. Common theme this year, in my opinion, is that the alumni teams are going to get a lot of attention, but it would be no surprise if these non-alumni veteran TBT squads are the ones coming out of all of the regionals.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So this was a loaded super regional in Wichita. We're going to move on now to another regional, Louisville and Lubbock. The winners of those two regionals will face off in a quarterfinal game in Louisville. Let's start off, though, with the Lubbock Regional. We've got the Air Raiders, Texas Tech alumni, the host team. They'll face off against the 8-seed Purple Hearts, who are playing for gun violence awareness. And then the 4-5 matchup, here's where things get interesting. The Enchantment New Mexico alumni against a first-year team, Austin's own Texas alumni. I'll connect the dots right now. We could get a Texas Tech TBT matchup in round 2. Coach, I know you'll have more thoughts on that as we move forward. The 3-6 matchup, HBC United, who are playing for historically black colleges and universities, they'll face off against In the Lab, another popular social media and YouTube basketball brand led by Devin Williams. And then the 2-7 matchup, Bleed Green, North Texas alumni, they'll face off against Rise and Grind, a first-year TBT team. But if their name's any indication, they're not a team to take lightly. Coach, really a lot to unpack in year one in Lubbock. Where are you starting?
Well, let's start with Air Raiders. Because that place is going to be rocking and rolling. And you're talking about a team that has a shared experience. You're talking about a team that's had great success. You're talking about a team that's playing for pride. Now, I think it's really interesting because Bleed Green, obviously their coach, is now coaching the head coach of Texas Tech, or I should say North Texas State, which I think is an interesting storyline. But like Air Raiders is a very complete team. And you've got a little TBT experience. Obviously, John Roberson obviously has experience playing the TBT. Tariq Owens has experience playing in the TBT. You need some guys that have played in it to understand the urgency that you have to play with in this tournament. So, you got to start there. I think HBC United, Kyle Quinn, all right, he played in the NBA for how many years for Knicks? Now, if he's in shape, that dude is a bucket. A lot of players from Norfolk State who's dominated, actually, that conference for a long time. This game is bigger than my man Snacks League. Let's put it that way. It's bigger than, but they'll be interesting. If you remember now that New Mexico alumni team, they had a little bit of an edge last year. They had a little bit of an edge. And, and that's great when you're at home. They're going on the road Lubbock. The team that really intrigues me is Austin's own. Austin's own, to me, with Corinne Roach, dynamic. Kabongo, tough physicals, TBT experience. Jacob Young, TBT experience. Jordan Hamilton can really, really score it. I think this is a team, if they have the right approach, I think this is a team that obviously would be an amazing game. If we get that game, who knows? That game could sell out. It could be a record breaker, but I think Lubbock's going to be a great environment, great fans. Like I said, we did a college game day there. and the ownership and the passion and the energy was as good as any place we've been since I've been on game day for the last 8 years. And they've got a team to back it up. And they've got a toughness about them. They do have a culture there, and they have a winning culture, that group especially. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
I agree with you. And one more thing on Lubbock before we move on. For In the Lab,
great barbecue, by the way.
Great barbecue. They got Devontae Friga.
Oh, you love that guy.
That's the man. I'm trying to get him on Inside TBT. He's a YouTube star, and he actually played in TBT. I think it was 2 TBTs ago, and he got buckets. He got buckets with Challenge ALS. So he's not just a celebrity. He's a baller. So have to.
Howard was at Maryland. I mean, look, all these teams have good players. That's the thing people got to understand. What makes TBT unique is that most of these guys are playing overseas, and the coaching overseas, and the commitment you have to make, and the sacrifices you have to make. And if you're not a winning player, they send you home. It's not about your reputation; it's about your productivity. Where like the NBA is a futures market, you go over to Europe, all right? Either you produce or you get sent home. So these guys are really, really competitive. They've been well coached. They really know how to play. The quality of the games are really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And another region I'm looking forward to is Louisville, where it's the debut in Louisville for not just the regional, but the Ville. Let's get things started with the 1 seed Gutter Cat Gang. Gutter Cats. Coach, let's hear it.
Gang, let's go, baby.
They'll play the North, who are a team representing Northern Atlanta. And then in the 4-5 matchup, yes, you're recognizing a theme. 2 new alumni teams, one being Shell Shock Maryland, the 4 seed, another Gataverse Florida alumni, the 5 seed, and then a battle of TBT staples in the 3 seed Eberline Drive and Jackson, Tennessee underdogs, who you mentioned earlier between Jalen Barford and DeSante Bradford, come to TBT with their best roster yet. And then the 2-7 matchup, how cool is this? The Ville, Louisville alumni making their debut, Peyton Siva, Russ Smith, and more. They'll play War Ready, the Auburn alumni who got their first win in TBT last year. There's a ton here, Coach, and we have a special guest standing by, but what do you think of this regional?
It's the deepest region probably we have. I mean, that 4-5 game, Gataverse and Shell Shock, you're talking about Mello Trimble, Daryl Marcel, DeMonte Dodd. Their roster is as deep as anyone. And that Gataverse team has got great depth. But let's say freedom. First of all, I think there's one thing we have to do, and this you don't know. I'm going to even say this. We need to. This game's being played in Freedom Hall. It's being played in Freedom Hall. These games. All right. We need to, before that ball goes up, every single game or every single session, we need to honor Coach Crum. I think that's really, really important. I think that when I think of Louisville basketball, obviously Russ played for a great coach in Coach Pitino, but the architect of what Louisville basketball is, what it stands for, the standard that was set with Coach Crum's passing, I just think it would be a great gesture to make sure that we pay tribute to a guy that did so much for so many and has had such an impact on the game of college basketball, but the game of basketball in whole.
I think that's a fantastic point. I agree with you 100%. And sticking with the theme of people who have impacted college basketball, Russ Smith, welcome to the Bracket Reveal Show. How excited are you, my man, for TBT and Louisville?
Drew, Seth, what's going on, man? And I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more happier. I'm ready to go.
Russ, I got a question for you. I mean, I love your team. My man Hancock, I mean, is he that old? Is he that slow? Is he that decrepit?
Yeah,
Can my man Hancock if Robbie Hummel on one knee can play the TBT, my man Cool Hand Luke needs to hoop.
I don't know, Seth. I mean, I think at this point, you can probably fill in for Luke. I think Luke is done.
Hey, I'm trying to get a job with the Phoenix Suns. I think with the Sun, and they got no money back. I can take a rookie minimum right now. I'm fine.
Yeah, you get on the middle, so they giving them out. Out.
Hey, let me ask you, TBT, what got you excited about being part of this?
What got me? Well, I would say for real, when they decide to put their team, when we decided to put the team together, you got Peyton, Luke was gonna be on the sideline. Then we had Wayne and Shay, my two guys, and really the opportunity to kind of play with some of my core guys that I wanted with, because you don't get to do that much. You don't get to play with guys that you won with before, and then it's in Louisville, so you kind of get to relive the nostalgia. And also it's Freedom Hall. Me personally, I've never played in Freedom Hall. So wow. I want to try and pack that thing out. And obviously with Denny's passing, I heard you speaking earlier. I think we should do something really cool.
Absolutely.
That's wild. Go ahead, Dr. Z.
Well, I was just going to say, Russ, I've seen a lot on social media. You guys aren't just doing like a meet and greet and excited to talk to fans or whatever. You guys are training. You're in the gym. Siva's in the gym. How's the team looking?
Man, so I mean, we got some big signs. We got Nanu, which is pretty cool. Then we have Rakeem. I played with Rakeem. That was my roommate for 2 years, but before he had some injuries and left. But we signed Rakeem. Then we have Abar, a roommate of mine as well, cool dude. And then we got we signed Chris, and I think Chris, that was probably the most underrated sign of the tournament. He's a really well-rounded player, big guard. He's going to help us in multiple ways, and the guys are working.
I'll tell you, I think it's just you said something a second ago, and I think that people don't understand. Like, you've played all over the world, you've made a great living playing basketball, but the chance to put that thing on one more time with your guys, do people not understand that? Like when you were playing and winning the national championship, and with NIL and transfer portal and all that jazz, we got guys going to 3 and 4 schools.
Crazy.
And yet they probably won't get a chance to have this shared experience back with their guys, just like spending time before the game, after the game, grabbing a meal, the stories. What isn't that what it, explain that, and maybe this generation, I hate that some of them, they don't get it.
I'm on your side with this. Like I agree. I think when you think about the experience with your teammates, you think about all that stuff. You think about all the shared memories, and the most important part is building something from the ground up and watching it blossom. So I sat the bench for my first year and a half, and some of my guys on the team, they were hurt, and for us to kind of find some sort of common ground or common goal and turn it into wins and then turn it into a dynasty, I think that was really cool, and that's something we can share forever. We've shared so many experiences, and it's sad that I think a lot of guys won't be able to experience that with this now new AAU style of NCAA college basketball. Guys are just leaving after one bad week of practice, and there's no character growth. And I don't know. And I was talking about this the other day. There's going to be a market correction, but we don't know when that's going to happen. And that market correction is going to come when some of these guys are pros or maybe in college. But I'm a big believer in sticking it out and finishing what you started. So you finish what you start and you let the chips fall where they may, and just build.
Russ, speaking of finishing what you start, if this Louisville team wins TBT, how many bottles of Mr. and Mrs. Bourbon are going to be finished?
Listen, I got bottles all over the house. I got one right next to me, and I think we're gonna, the whole city's gonna drown in barrels. That's I got to sign it later today, and I think it's gonna be awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited. Like to me, being in this region, my man Mark Lieberman's a dear friend of mine from way back when I was an assistant at Miami, and just a great dude. But to me, what you guys are doing is really sending a great message. It really is setting a great message. Now, I'm just going to give you one bit of advice. Marshmallows need not apply. I know we're New Yorkers now. I'm just telling you ain't bullshitting in this thing now. All right? Like there's no like dudes are they're gonna come after you. This is like the ultimate road guarantee, like road game that Coach Pitino did someone a favor, and all of a sudden they're like hyperventilating, so excited to get a little piece of you. All right, yeah. You're the biggest game on everyone's schedule in this tournament.
It's nothing new to me, man. we've been every time I put on anything that had to do with a Cardinal jersey, we've always been everyone's championship. So that's what happens when you wear that bird, and it comes with a great bird, and that's why I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of tough deciding to put it back on. but it's gonna be fun though. I can't wait to play, and I've been playing, the past 8-9 years pro, so I'm about as ready as can be. I'm just excited.
Great. Well, you guys got to take care of my man Kenny Payne, because that's my guy.
Yeah, for sure. We working on it, man. We working on it, trying to get these kids together. Always in the lab with them and everything.
Good.
Well, Russ, we appreciate you stopping by. Get your tickets to come see Russ, Peyton, the rest of the crew. I know I'm excited. Coach is excited. And we'll see you in Louisville.
I don't know. Dr. Z, I'm not sure we're going to let you in Louisville. I'm not sure. We'll see. I mean,
I'm going to be banging down the walls of Freedom Hall to watch my guy Russ.
Yeah,
all I know is I'm calling Hancock after this thing. I'm going.
You can come with us. You can come with us too, man. I'm gonna get Andrew in, walk him through the gate, and we're gonna get after it. I'm gonna have him all set up. You know how we do.
Russ, thank you, man. You're the man.
I appreciate you guys.
Right. Be good, man. Look forward to seeing you. That was
Russ
great.
Smith, what a legend.
The best.
We're gonna
and that bracket's gonna be. Let's face it. You remember that? Hey, we got to remember Evelyn Drive. That's one of the originals. Archie Goodwin played obviously in the league. Played at Kentucky. That shell shock team is going to be really good. That game against Danvers is going to be a high level game. Got to catch. They're not rolling over now. They're not rolling over. So that is a big time bracket. It's going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. And it doesn't get any easier in the TBT world as we move on to the West Virginia and Syracuse regionals, where the winners will play in West Virginia. First off, we've got the West Virginia Regional, like I mentioned earlier, heading to Wheeling. Best Virginia, the West Virginia alumni, will face off against the 8th seed, the Boys Dream, who are a team that were in the first TBT, and they had to get back involved for the 10th. The 4-5 matchup, the Marshall alumni, they'll face Zoo Crew, the Pitt alumni. We have someone from Heard That in the waiting room who's going to have some thoughts on this potential matchup, I'm sure. And then the 3-6 matchup, 2 TBT staples, Challenge ALS and Florida TNT, merged to create Challenge ALS Florida. The 3 seed there will face Dogtown, a new version of Georgetown alumni, making their return to TBT. And then the 2-7 matchup, Sideline Cancer, of course, a staple of TBT. They play for pancreatic cancer research. They'll play Ram Nation, who are back in TBT again. Coach, there's so much here to talk about.
Oh, look, this is a deep bracket. How about the backcourt of Sideline Cancer, and how about the backcourt of Challenge ALS Florida? I mean, you're talking about it's absolutely the thing about Marcus Keene, Tyrese Rice, and Dominique Jones for Sideline Cancer. Right? That's a bucket in a bucket. I mean, you're not keeping those dudes out of the lane. I mean, like it's happening. And then you got Challenge ALS, you got Chris Warren, Keith Glenn up front is a matchup nightmare. He's kind of like, he's almost like the Nikola Jokic of the TBT. You know, Nikola, I mean, like he just plays at his own pace. Kenny Boynton can take over a game. Marvell Harris can take over a game. I mean, so you got those two teams are dynamic. But there are other teams in this bracket that, you know, I got to be honest with you, they're going to shake some things up. Like that team from a little bit north of West Virginia, the Zoo Crew. Let me tell you something. If Elmore was with us right now, I'd tell him, you better go get your Corey Williams. Because if you don't get your Corey Williams, you know what? You could have a short time in Wheeling, West Virginia. Big On, what are we doing?
What's up, Coach?
I'm doing good.
Hey, I just want you to know we haven't had a short time in TBT in the past 4 years. We always come and get 1 or 2. So we're looking to build on that this year.
You always talk the talk. Of course, we expect you to walk the walk. But this year, you've brought in a little bit of a different roster. Let's hear about this team that you believe can beat Zoo Crew, but Coach doesn't believe it.
Well, we went out and we brought in some more guys this year. We have some people that got involved with it. that said, hey, let's try to bring in some pros. And so this year we went outside Marshall a little bit more to try to bring in guys that are still playing, because a lot of us, we're just getting too far away from playing. And the fact that, most of our team doesn't play anymore, which sort of made it a miracle what we were doing anyway, because we were coming to TBT and beating teams that, still play professionally. And I've been removed 4 years. Stevie Browning's been removed 3 or 4 years. Ryan Taylor hasn't played, in the same amount of time. So we feel pretty good because we're bringing in 6 or 7 guys that are playing at a very high level right now. And, we'll see what we can do. We feel really good about the roster additions.
Hey, my man in law school, he's gotten much more diplomatic. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, like laid back, just, soft, almost like promising less and giving more. What kind of shape's your brother in?
Yeah, he's in great shape. He had a great year this year in the G League. He's been working out in Charleston. He looks phenomenal. He just keeps getting better and better. And I think the TBT is going to be in trouble because you mentioned some great guards for the other teams in the West Virginia region. I personally believe we have the best of all of them. And I think he'll prove me right on that this year because he looks really good.
There's a potential second day in West Virginia that would look like this. Best Virginia versus Heard That, and Challenge ALS Florida versus Sideline Cancer, which would just be an absolute crazy matchup of 4 big-time teams. When you see those 3 other potential teams, is Best Virginia the one you're most scared of?
I don't think, we're not really scared of anybody, but you look at that, and that's probably 4 of legitimately maybe the top 15 teams in the whole tournament are stacked right there in the West Virginia Regional. So, that's just a murderer's row. Whoever comes out of the region is going to be battle tested, and you might be the odds-on favorite to win the rest of it, considering who they've gotten through to get there. But we feel really good. We've upgraded. We think this is our best roster yet. We brought in some guys, big wing, big guard, big scorers, to go with John, try to give us a little more punch. So we're super excited.
Tavion Kansas is a big-time scorer, right? He can flat go, right?
Yes, you mentioned those guards for the other teams. I guarantee you nobody scores much points since John and Tavion in college. That's about 5,500 points combined between the 2 of those. And then now you're adding in guys like Rashid Suleiman. Jared West is the all-time leading steals leader at Marshall. He's still playing at a very high level. So we're really excited about who we're bringing in, at the guard positions. And then we're still filling out, we got 1 more spot left. Corey, you see this, come join us. We feel real good about everything.
How about being in Wheeling? How big a herd following you got in Wheeling in relation to, like, say, where you'd be in Charleston?
I don't think we don't have near the following in Wheeling that we have in Charleston, but we have such a great following in Charleston and Huntington that they're going to follow us up I-77 straight to Wheeling, and so we'll have a big crowd there. We were disappointed to move it from Charleston, but they decided it was important to have like the World Ping Pong Tournament or something that week. But so we'll make sure the herd people are going to bus up there, and they're going to be there to support us. So you'll think it's Charleston.
Last question for you. What your new life? Just give us a scoop on what's going on in your life.
Spending about 5-6 hours a day studying for the bar exam. So I actually have the bar exam the day of our first game. So I'll be taking the bar exam from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll be riding up to Wheeling to coach the team. As soon as that's over, I'll be driving back to Charleston to take day 2 of the bar exam the next day. So it's hectic right now.
You're a beast. Good luck. Good luck. My daughter went through that. That is a stressful time, man, but you'll crush it. You'll crush it. I know the discipline that you have and everything you do carries over to your real world. You know what I mean? That's, it's hard. The one thing she realized is, like, normally you were a great student, right?
I wouldn't say great. I'd say average.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like in the bar, you got to make like 78% or something. You're not making an A. You just
got to make a C. You got to be a C student, and that's about where I've been my whole life. So I feel pretty good. I can just perform up to normal.
All right. Well, hey, good luck. And I know these guys, they kicked me out of going to West Virginia. I'm a little disappointed. They sent me Lubbock and Louisville, but I'm excited to watch that regional. And, I'm sure that it'll be an absolutely incredible regional.
Yes, sir. We're excited. And we have some great teams coming.
Ott's just the best. Probably the only person in TBT with a higher 3-point percentage than percentage he'll get on the bar. What do you think of that, Coach?
He's the man. Hey, let me tell you, he is. If we had a Hall of Fame for the TBT, which I think we might, he would have to have some positioning and to be in the Hall. I mean, he is legendary. But you can see he's getting locked in for that bar because he's laser focused right now, Dr. Z, kind of like you are right now, laser focused.
Absolutely. He's definitely laser focused. And if there was a TBT Hall of Fame, like you mentioned, Coach, you're the king of setting me up, by the way. If there was a TBT Hall of Fame, Blue Collar U, last year's champs, would be destined to have their team in it. They have dominated TBT thus far. We're going to talk about them, but before we get to them, we have a message from reigning TBT champion and MVP, CJ Massenberg.
CJ Massenberg here checking in. Blue Collar U, 2022 MVP, defending champ. We here, Blue Collar U, we back, excited. Whoever's in our region, you better watch out. We coming back defending our championship. We got a secret weapon. The lucky baby will be in attendance. So get ready. We're here, Blue Collar U, signing out.
He's ready.
He's ready. And let's take a look at their regional. As I mentioned earlier, if there was a number 1 seed overall, it would probably be Blue Collar U, the Buffalo alumni. They're the 1 seed here, and they'll face the 8 seed Big 5, representing the 5 colleges in Philadelphia. The 4-5 matchup here, sticking with the theme, 2 alumni teams making their TBT debut, the Rhodey Way Rhode Island alumni against the Commonwealth UMass alumni. And then the 3-6 matchup, the Nerd team, who knocked off Boeheim's Army last year in Syracuse, they'll face off against a brand new alumni team, Happy Valley Hoopers, Penn State alumni. And the 2 seed, Boeheim's Army, the Syracuse alumni, they'll face off against Team Gibson, which is Taj Gibson, former NBA player / current NBA player. He was great with the Chicago Bulls. It's his team. Keep Boeheim in your mind. That name is going to be relevant here in a minute or so. Coach, we got the defending champs in this bracket. What jumps out to you?
Well, look, that team is a team. I mean, they've got great trust. They play hard together. They're competitive. They're well coached. They've kept their team together. No one put their name in free agency. Could they be this iteration's version of Overtime Elite? It's hard to repeat. I mean, it's really, really hard. Boeheim's Army is loaded. Team Belby has loaded up. This is a deep roster. I call it a hybrid. It's a hybrid roster. Obviously, you're getting some championship pedigree on this team with the addition of the Marquette players, but you also have the essence of what Boeheim's Army is all about. So having that pedigree, whether have McCullough or Jimmy, to me, the X factor of this whole thing, I really believe, is Tyus Battle. I think Tyus Battle's got a body and a game, if he's in shape, that can really do damage in the TBT. The team, I think, is a little bit of a sleeper in this thing, is the Happy Valley Hoopers. Because you got some guys that are young enough to just have played, but are physical. They got a toughness about them. They can rebound the basketball. They got guys that can go get a shot. I think they're going to be interesting. Team Gibson, I mean, you look at it, Isaiah Whitehead, Vanderbilt, that's a great start. Let's see how they build out the rest of the roster. But that's a great start. I mean, Isaiah Whitehead was, if I'm not mistaken, was a first round or beginning of the second round draft choice. Vanderbilt, we know another guy that has championship pedigree. So I think that this is a very, very good bracket. Always great crowds in Syracuse. Always great environments. Again, another one of those teams like Fats Russell. He left Rhode Island, but he came back to play for their alumni team. I think that's really cool. I think that shows that he was felt like he was part of something. I think that the UMass team has an interest. Chaz Williams can really score it. I think, Maxi Isho is an experienced TBT player. So an interesting mix of players. But let's face it, if you can get Boeheim's Army and the Buffalo alumni team in the final, that place will be rocking.
Yeah, that's what people want to see. We think certain teams are good, but who cares what we think? We got to hear what the man himself, Jimmy Boeheim, thinks about not just his team, but the entire regional. Jimmy, thank you for joining us.
Jimmy looks like he's hunting. Looks like he's in a hunting lodge right now. You get any deer or elk?
Not much hunting, but we're out here on the lake, kind of just enjoying some downtime here.
Awesome.
But looking forward to being back in the TBT this summer. Feel really good about our team. I think we've really reloaded after last year. I think we've got some really good players coming in, a mix of some really good Cuse guys, like you guys mentioned, Tyus Battle. Excited to get out there with him and, bringing the Marquette guys in. I'm excited to play with them. And, my guy, Matt Morgan from Cornell, he's playing really good. He was the runner-up in the French league behind Victor Wembanyama. So I think he's really a sleeper in this tournament to make some noise. But, it's a really tough region. Obviously, that Buffalo team's really good. Running it back, just having all those guys again, they'll be tough. But, really excited to get back out there and, feel really good about our chances and especially playing in front of the home crowd. So
that's what, Jimmy, putting on that, we just had Russ Smith on, putting on the uniform again with the guys that you played with or, guys that you watched play. You have two groups of guys you play with because you got Morgan, obviously, and then you got your teammates at Syracuse. Obviously having your dad's name on the jerseys is one thing, but explain to people, because I don't think people realize you can play professionally, you can make money, you can do all those things, but those times that you have with your teammates in college are a little different than say your experiences playing this past year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you feel that extra sense of pride, I think, putting your college colors back on. And, for me, it's awesome to get to play with guys that I grew up watching. Last year, getting to play with a guy like Tyler Ennis, and then, this coming year, getting to play with guys like Tyus and, Chris and all those guys. I mean, it's awesome to get to go out there and play with them, guys I looked up to growing up and whatnot, and that I was a few years after at Syracuse. And then also getting to rejoin with guys like Matt Morgan and just, other good players from wherever they may be. So, definitely feel that extra sense of pride. And it's always great to put back on the orange and, playing against the best fans in the country. It's always, it's just, you feel an extra sense of pride and it's just a great feeling. So really excited for it.
Jimmy, have you picked up the phone and called Carmelo? I mean, he's not busy this summer. What are you going to do to get him on the team?
I know, man. That's something that we got to get. We might have to put in a little longer of a recruiting pitch for him. So, hopefully, maybe down the line a little bit, that's the ultimate guy to get to come back and play. So that would be, that'd be incredible. So hopefully one day we can convince him to put the orange back on one more time. I mean, he's 1-for-1 with championships in orange, or in the Cuse orange. So hopefully we can do it again.
Can you get some old guy that's probably fishing or something, get him to kind of sit on a bench and kind of do his thing, or what?
Yeah, we'll see what we can get him to do. He's actually out back fishing right now. So that's what he's doing most of his time nowadays, down there. So I'll talk to him and see if what we can get him to do. But I know he's enjoying retirement right now, probably not thinking too much about coaching, but we'll see if we can get him to at least come on the bench and give us a few tips here and there. Well,
Jimmy, we appreciate you stopping by. Happy belated Father's Day to your father. He should give a gift to you of coaching like Seth mentioned. But we're looking forward to seeing you this summer. Before we get you out of here, last little pitch to the Syracuse fans. Why should they come out and see this team play?
Oh man, it's we're gonna give them everything we got, and it's just it means a ton to us, I think, to have them back, and we're gonna try to put on a great show for them. They get a chance to come and see some of their favorites, guys like Tyus, Chris McCullough, et cetera, and so yeah, just come out and see the show. Hopefully, we're gonna try to get out of this region and advance to the tournament. So just come out and support. It gives them something to do in the summer. Basketball season's a little ways away down the road, so. Hopefully we can pack it out again and have all the greatest fans in the country in one place. So really looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, no
Dude,
problem.
thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. See you guys.
All right, so we just ran through the region that has not just last year's champs, but the year before that in Boeheim's Army, and kind of the year before that in Golden Eagles with, all those guys that are going to Boeheim's Army. But we got to move on to these last two final regions because they're loaded, they're exciting. We're going to start off with Dayton, and then, of course, we'll do the Xavier Regional. Those two teams will meet in Dayton for a quarterfinal. But the Dayton Regional is super exciting because Red Scare is back again, fresh off a semifinal run. The Dayton alumni, the 1 seed, they'll face off against India Rising, who are in TBT for their second year in a row. They're hoping to show not just that brown ballers exist, but that they get buckets. And then the 4-5 matchup, listen to this, Coach. Carmen's Crew, the Ohio State alumni, former champs, they are back with a retooled and refueled roster. They'll take on Team Overtime, who, of course, hail from Overtime Elite. And then the 3-6 matchup, Team Colorado alumni against the Fighting Robbie Hummels, the Men of Mackey, Purdue alumni. And the 2-7 matchup here, another one of your teams, Friday Beers, the mega social media and YouTube guys. They'll face off against Athletics Miami, one of the premier facilities for basketball in Miami. Coach, there's a former champ here. There's a semifinalist from last year here. Where are you leaning on this one?
This is an interesting one. I think Friday Beers is really interesting. I think Carmen's Crew is really interesting. If I just had to pick two that would jump out at me, and no disrespect to, obviously, the home team, but Friday Beers, Vinny Vitrone has done an unbelievable job kind of, I would say, putting this roster together. And this is a roster that is built to go deep in the TBT. Again, you need guards in the TBT. All right, D. Bost is a bucket. He's a bucket. I mean, he's a guy that can make plays. You need athleticism. You need length. You need versatility. You need depth. The one thing about this team is they're probably the deepest team in the TBT. Like, they don't have a weak link. And so, I really like them. Carmen's Crew is interesting to me because the Wessons are very, very good. I think Jackson's going to give them some scoring off the bench. They've got enough TBT experience, which is really, really important. And I think Jared Sullinger does not a good job, but a great job with his team.
I agree with you.
I mean, so like Carmen's Crew, I think they've gotten younger. Let's face it, they've gotten younger. They were a little, and let's not forget Buford, who can just go get a. You need one guy that can just go make a play and get a bucket in time from that wing position. So, and what's your take on Carmen's Crew?
Well, this is what I think about Carmen's Crew is it's guys and members of teams that the media, not yourself, but the media said before all their seasons that Ohio State team wasn't going to be any good. And then what they do, get themselves in the top 25, get themselves in the top 10, top 15, and win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. So that's why I think maybe people are saying, oh, that team's not going to be any good. That's the same thing they said when they were in college, which gives me reason to believe
Wait, I got a question for you. Whoa, you're not going to get off this easy. Whoa. You're saying that people say that when you helped see this thing.
No, I'm not saying that I think they're not going to be very good. I'm saying, and a four seed's pretty high, top half of the bracket, So, but I'm with you. I'm lower on them than versions of Carmen's Crew in the past because you don't have Aaron Kraft, you don't have Dave Lighty, so you don't have the shooting of John Diebler. But it is a team that, like you mentioned earlier, maybe they're undervalued, but are they a better roster than Friday Beers? I don't know. So I say no there, and you say no there too. So we will see. But the second half here, who they would potentially play in the quarterfinal is the Xavier Regional. The Xavier Regional will conclude, and these guys will pack their bags and drive down the road to Dayton. The 1 seed, the Program for Autism, formerly Americana for Autism. Coach, there's no second place trophies. But what you do get when you come in second place is a 1 seed in Xavier. They'll face Team DRC. DRC standing for Dominique Rogers-Cromartie, which is, of course, the former NFL All-Pro player, Dominique Rogers-Cromartie. He'll actually play in TBT, which is cool. The 4-5 matchup, the Buccaneers ETSU against the Fort Wayne Champs, a team from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And the 3-6 matchup, you got the money team, Floyd Mayweather's team, who always brings former NBA guys such as Trevor Booker. They'll face off against Nasty Natty, the Cincinnati alumni. Only in TBT would Cincinnati get a home game at Xavier. And then speaking of home games at Xavier, the 2-7 matchup, zip them up, Xavier alumni. They'll play the 7-seed Georgia Kings. The Georgia Kings gained entry in TBT by winning Vic Beasley's tournament. This is a super, super exciting bracket. Zip them up. Probably the talent to have a 1 seed, but you got to reward the team who came in second last year. What are your thoughts on this final regional in Xavier?
Yeah, I look, zip it up is really good. I mean, you got Samaji, you've got Mark Lyons, you've got Makura, you've got legitimate size and Gates. You've got Trayvon Blewett, who can make shots. Lyons is a really, get some easy buckets. They have a little bit of the DNA, and even though we're an alumni team of overseas elite, because you got shot makers and floor gamers. But that Cincinnati team now, Nasty Natty, Jacob Evans is tough. Deron Coverlet's tough. Octavius Ellis, tough. Shaq Thomas, skilled. If you could get that matchup, Skyline Chili would be flowing everywhere. But you got to win games. Like we all, we say, well, these are matchups we want. We shouldn't say that, because that's the magic of the TBT. You don't get the matchups you want. You get the matchups that are earned. And to me, that's what this thing is all about. Can you earn yourself that bid? But yeah, I mean, would that be fun? Sure, it would be fun. Zip them up, home court, Cintas Center, deep team, great ownership, great crowds, great energy. But if it does become Nasty Natty and zip them up, that's going to be a wild atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm with you, but
a wild atmosphere.
To your point, if it's the money team versus zip them up in the second round, and yes, of course, Georgia Kings could upset zip them up, but if they play the money team in the second round, let me tell you two guys that don't get fazed by, road crowds, Jordan Crawford and Trevor Booker. We saw it last year.
And Peyton Aldridge.
The whole team, they don't care. Trevor Booker, he doesn't care about Xavier fans. He's going to go in there. I would love to see the Kaiser Gates versus Trevor Booker battle down low. That would be super exciting for me to see. Before we move on to, a little wrap up, we just covered 64 teams. Final thoughts on this Xavier Regional?
Yeah, I think, look, to me, it's a black and blue regional. I mean, it's going to be this might be the most physical regional. Let's face it, they let you play the TBT. This is going to be a possession game. This is going to be Elam ending. We haven't even mentioned Elam ending. But the one thing about the Elam ending is you've got to have guys that can make plays. You got to get to the free throw line, because you get to the free throw line, you get the ball back. That's how you close out games. You don't settle, and you have experience playing in the Elam ending. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of the more physical regions, just because of the makeup of the two teams and the money team. You made a great point. Money team is made up of pros. Money team is made up. The key is going to be when you get punched a little bit, so those guys are playing to play. They want the money. They've made money too. Are you going to dig down and grind it out? A team like, Nasty Natty or Zip 'em Up or whomever. But yeah, it's another look. I think the one thing about as I was going through yesterday, I said, well, that's a great 4-5. That's a great matchup. Well, that's a great matchup. There are really good teams in TBT. And the one thing, and I say it all the time, no marshmallows, don't take plays off. Guys don't take plays off. The games are physical. Guys play really hard. Guys are basically trying to build, something like the underdogs. They're trying to build their reputation off someone else's reputation. And that's the great thing, whether it's D3 or whether it's the underdogs or whether it's some of these teams with a cause, they are basically trying to build their reputation off of someone else's reputation. And what that creates is great competition.
Absolutely. A wise man once said, no marshmallows. And that's exactly what this regional is. We didn't talk too much about the Elam ending. You can read more about that at thetournament.com. But, of course, our version of the Elam ending, we got to wrap this puppy up. We got to put a bow on it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. As we mentioned earlier, if you want to get tickets to TBT, visit thetournament.com/tickets because tickets are on sale now. Real quick recap. Week 1, we're heading to Lubbock, Wichita Super Regional, and Xavier. Week 2, Syracuse, Louisville, West Virginia, Dayton, and then we got the championship. First, we got the semifinals, and then the championship in Philadelphia at Drexel's Daskalakis Athletic Center, August 2nd to 3rd in Philly. So excited. Coach, we're both involved. We're both excited, but everyone at home can get involved too with TBT's Bracket Challenge. It's going to be a chance for you to predict the outcome of TBT 2023 for a chance to win some cash prizes sent with Zelle. We just talked for over an hour, but I got to hear your final thoughts, and you can't say no marshmallows because we've already covered that.
No, look, I think the new region, Lubbock's going to be a blast. Louisville, in terms of, you think about your tradition, the guys that played it, you've got teams that have played in national championship games. You've got guys that have won national championships. You've got guys that have played in the league. You've got guys that are trying to, remember now, Kiefer Sykes, Bucket, Indiana Pacers, contract. Guys play their way and change their lives in the TBT. That's what it is. TBT builds bridges for guys to cross, to have opportunities to change their lives.
Absolutely. Someone will make a shot in Philadelphia worth $1 million sent by Zelle. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, watching the bracket reveal. We got a lot of content coming out over the next month, and July 19th, it all tips off. TBT 2023, we're coming.